Yes, finally. Trey Old. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks. Um, Kind of a mixed bag of an offseason, in my personal opinion. The big headline being bringing in DeJounte Murray, San Antonio, giving up some draft capital and just Danilo Gallinari to, make the salaries work. I love that trade. I think, Atlanta realizes they have a certain window here, with Trey Young, with John Collins. Obviously, still pretty young, but, as you're kind of ascending, you want those guys to feel like they can still compete, are still trying to get into, the finals conversation year after year. And, if they start sliding down like they did this past year, who's to say Trey Young wouldn't be, excited about maybe exploring options on other teams. And John Collins already, like, really weird how, seemed to be kind of a top name that might have gotten moved this offseason. All those rumblings kind of have died down now. Looks like he's there to stay. Him and Trey played in a Drew League game. Apparently, I think John Collins is the first NBA player to ever foul out of a Drew League game. So that's a feather in his cap going into this year. So, but, what DeJounte Murray brings, going back to him, is, what he allows you to do offensively is, get Trey Young off ball, have him come off screens, kind of a lot more off ball movement with him instead of him being so much more ball dominant. You add another facilitator, someone that can give everyone open looks, who can run pick and roll with Capella. And, obviously we know he can do defensively in terms of maybe alleviating some of that pressure off Trey Young to guard, the best guy in the opposing team's backcourt. DeJounte Murray's going to be able to, take care of that. And, a lineup with him, DeAndre Hunter, Onyeka and Kongwu as a rim protector. And, Capella's not bad, but you could put out a pretty good defensive lineup if need be come playoff time. So DeJounte, bringing him in, obviously still affordable contract. You'll have this year and next year. Whether they extend him, he's still pretty young. Was really surprised that more teams didn't kind of, sell out for Murray. I think it makes a ton of sense for the Hawks here. Having said that, some of the other offseason stuff, not a huge kind of free agent splash. Obviously not a lot of money to play with, but they brought in Aaron Holiday, Frank Kaminsky, add a little depth. Not sure how much either of them are going to play. Lou Williams still, unsigned at the moment. But the Kevin Huerter trade, the more I think about it, the more I'm a little puzzled, taking a look at their depth chart and just kind of, what they're trying to go for here. Maybe it's because they extended him and they don't want that kind of long-term money. So they take on, shorter contracts and Justin Holiday, Mo Harkless. Maybe it was, I don't know specifically where their whole tax situation is. Maybe they wanted to get under some threshold, which, is always annoying. Because from a basketball sense, I don't see how they improve with Justin Holiday and Mo Harkless versus just having Kevin Huerter, a guy who can shoot the ball, defend a little bit, gives you size on the wing depth in general, still relatively young, affordable deal, not like a huge bargain, but you're not overpaying him. And I get you got the first round pick out of it, but this isn't a team that's necessarily looking to make a bunch of first round picks. So, I understand they drafted AJ Griffin. I think he makes a lot of sense, has, a high ceiling as a 3-and-D kind of prototypical guy. So, what he brings to the table, maybe they just didn't see a big enough role for Huerter and figured, get some value out of him, going forward. But I think with, Bogdanovich has kind of a sketchy health history. DeAndre Hunter hasn't been entirely healthy. His career, I feel a little uneasy about, letting Kevin Huerter go, even if you brought in, Justin Holiday's a serviceable wing, and I don't know if Mo Harkless will play or not. But a little questionable. I think that offsets a little bit of the excitement. DeJounte Murray coming in, because really, why did that deal have to happen with Kevin Huerter? Not sure. Could have kept him, had him, in the rotation. But that's fine. we'll see now how Murray, if this changes the Hawks, because this is a team. It's weird to think that they're coming off, an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, 2 seasons ago. I felt like they had really, a full head of steam going into this past year and totally just ended up losing what, made them so great before. And obviously, the health issues and whatnot. So now it's kind of like a bounce back year, and I think this is a real test of like, all right, who are the Atlanta Hawks here? Are they worthy of that Eastern Conference Finals appearance, or was that kind of just a fluke? And we'll say a lot about Trae Young. Obviously, the offensive ability he has, and defensively is just undersized. So how will Murray fit in? AJ Griffin, what does his role look like? Is John Collins going to be happy, or is there going to be a lot more locker room issues? It's tough, and I think, can they play John Collins at the 5? Because, Clint Capella is kind of the same breed of center as Rudy Gobert, that in a playoff series you can get him in some weird mismatches, and he's not the kind of guy that's really going to beat you too much offensively on his own. So how do they address that issue? I think Capella will be kind of a hard contract to move, being, kind of rebounding pick and roll big at, around $20 million a year. And, obviously Gallinari, those are minutes too that someone's going to have to fill. So where do you put the Atlanta Hawks in terms of the tiers in the East? And, I don't think you can honestly put them in like a contending tier, or even, they're going to be in the mix, I would think. I don't know if probably not playing like this year, but who's to say? I would put their range maybe 4 to 10. It's just kind of like, where do we see this going? The East can be pretty competitive. You have Chicago, you have Cleveland, Brooklyn, who knows? There's not going to be a lot of easy games out there. So hopefully, in an ideal world, DeJounte Murray makes all the difference in the world. But is he, going to fill all those gaps in the entire system? Probably not. But we'll see. I think it was a mixed bag. Let me know how you feel about Atlanta's offseason. Love to know where you place them in the Eastern Conference going into the next season. But that's it for me for now. Take care of yourselves. Take it easy. And I'll see you next time.